Hello, all, and welcome to Movie Bears Podcast TV. I'm Brad Harris, and usually every couple weeks I get together with some pretty hunky hot studs to talk about TV. But unfortunately, schedules have been wacky, crazy, what the f messed up. So it's been like a
Stupid
month.
schedules.
I know it's been like a
know.
month since I've hung out with you guys. So it is good. It is good to be back. With me, as always, are my wonderful co-hosts, Casey Scott.
Yes, so glad to be back. Hello, everyone.
I'm always like looking at the posters in the background because they change every time. I'm like, what do we have this time?
These haven't changed. I've been so bad. I think these were up the last time.
Yeah, I think you're right. What the heck, Casey Scott?
I know. I'm really
fans down.
Wow.
I know. Well, I was like, it's been a month, so I figured people wouldn't remember.
You know what?
Sort of like wearing a last season dress, that kind of thing. Like people aren't gonna remember that.
If you can't even be bothered to change your posters, then don't bother.
Well, exactly. I should just have a bare wall behind me.
There.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Bare wall.
Right.
A bare wall. Yeah, exactly.
I've got a bare wall behind me, kind of, sort of. I like her.
Right.
All right. Well, also with us, of course, is the delectable Stephen Konchelik. How are you, Stephen Konchelik?
Very good. Hello, everyone. It is very good to be back. Agreed.
All right. Awesome. Well, we have a monster show for you guys this week. We're going to be talking about Orange is the New Black, OITNB, as it's commonly called online. We'll be talking about the first 4 episodes of that. We'll be discussing a new show from AMC called Halt and Catch Fire, which is kind of interesting. It's better than I thought it would be, but we'll get into that. And, of course, the Game of Thrones finale. Holy shit, the show's over for the year. I'm super bummed. But that's probably going to be like a huge conversation. And I want to talk about it now, but we're going to talk about other stuff first.
It's dessert. You got to save dessert.
I know, right? We got to eat our Brussels sprouts first. So
Right. Well, maybe then if you're going to say we're going to do the Brussels sprouts first, we should probably talk about Halt and Catch Fire first. So.
No.
Yeah, I'm not going to wait that long to talk about awesome stuff. All right. Well, let's just get into it. Let's dive right in and let's talk about Orange is the New Black. The animals. I hate that theme song.
Oh God, I hate
so
the
much.
Oh, I love it. What are you talking
Really?
about?
Oh.
I love it.
It's too long. It's not that it's bad. It's just it's like Netflix isn't great with fast forwarding for me with the
same.
viewer that I use, so I can't fast forward through it. So I always have to sit through it, and it's like, oh please God, just get to it.
It's like thank you, Regina. Thank you, Regina Spektor, for making me sit through that like every time I want to watch an episode. You're awesome.
Yeah.
Not really.
Oh, I love that song, but it's weird. I mean, it has a weird like rhythm and tempo, but I like that. So
that's true.
Yeah, I like
that's true. All right. Well, I'm glad you like it. So we're talking about the first 4 episodes of season 2. It should be said, of course, that we are going to be spoiling the bejesus out of these episodes. So if you have not watched season 2 of Orange is the New Black yet, now is your chance to bail out and come back later. I just saw like 2 people bail from the live cast. Hopefully they'll be back for Game of Thrones later.
I know.
But,
people, you should be at least 4 episodes in. It started 2 weeks ago.
I know. I'm behind you guys. I think you guys are way ahead of me, but I only got to 4.
Yeah, Casey, I think you finished it, right? And I think I have like 2 episodes to go. Yeah. So, but at least we're all sort of able to talk about the first 4 episodes. So let's dive right in. Episode 1 of season 2, Thirsty Bird. Were you guys, I don't know, a little anxious during this episode? Like all of a sudden Piper's being transferred to Chicago. We don't know why. We don't know what's going on. I was kind of freaking out a little bit. I won't lie.
I was very much freaking out. It had a nervous energy to it that it was very unsettling.
It was it's I started watching it and I was like, oh great, and once you get into it, it was kind of like, oh, this is going to be an all Piper episode? Okay, here we go. But it really picked up because I think the first season, Piper, when it ended, I was just like, well, she's my least favorite character at this point. She just drove me crazy. But I think it is because it focused so much on her and Alex. And so this season, we get to see her on her own and interact with other people and not have to deal with this Alex bullshit. So I think, and that's not spoiling anything because you really get the gist of that by episode 2 and 3.
Right.
So, but yeah, the first episode, I was kind of like, oh God, why? What's going on here? And then I saw Lori Petty, and then everything got better because I was super excited to see her.
It was so funny. I noticed her right away. I'm like, oh, that's Lori Petty, and my husband was like, how the hell did you pull that reference out of your ass? It's like she hasn't been in anything in a while. But I'm like, she's Tank Girl. I just always remember her as Tank Girl.
Right, and the annoying little sister on League of Their Own who feels entitled to everything that her sister gets. Yeah.
But I mean, I didn't like the episode when it was all the nervous energy and she was whiny and like where am I going? What's about I'm like just shut up, please, or let's move past this. But once it started getting into it, once she was in the new jail and there was the whole cockroach racing thing and everything, I found it just as intriguing and fascinating, and I really love the characters. The way they portray people and give people personality, even small parts, just have so much personality on this show. It's really fantastic.
Yeah. The writing is so good on this show. I mean, and that's the thing. I was having this conversation on Facebook with some people where the conversation, not to diverge too much because we might want to talk about him later, but a lot of people are really very anti-Larry. And I don't understand that at all, because even the characters that the show sets up as being villains or being the nemesis of certain people, it also delves into who they are. So even like Healy, I feel bad for Healy. I mean he's very conservative and I mean he basically let Piper out to be slaughtered in the final episode of last season, but. He wants happiness and love with this mail-order bride that he's never going to get. So I find myself still rooting for him. And Larry, the same thing. Like that's the writing on the show. Just really it doesn't paint anyone as purely heroic or purely villainous. I mean they're really multifaceted characters, and it's very hard to pull off.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Yeah, I don't know. I despise Larry and everything he stands for.
Yeah, see, I don't get that. But what does he stand for in your opinion? I mean,
well, I don't know. I guess Larry from the outset has always been sort of this like wishy-washy, weak character. You know what I mean? And I guess I never really thought like, oh, he and Piper are totally going to make it through this jail thing. I mean, it's pretty much written in the stars that they're going to break up and that's going to fall apart. Right. I don't know. He just comes off like such a petulant dick sometimes. Like he's very selfish, and I'm sure it's hard to be in a situation where your partner is going to prison, but at the same time, some of the things he chooses to be an ass about is bothersome. Now, that's not to say Piper is without fault, because, oh God, she makes the stupidest decisions on the face of the planet. In this episode, in fact, let's talk about that. So, Voss basically is like, hey, we're testifying against this guy. You're going to have to, basically lie to save our skins. And Piper ends up doing it, and Voss is the one who gets out of jail because she tells the truth.
Right. Do you think that was a big setup, or was that did Voss just take advantage of her saying just seeing an opportunity and taking it, or do you think she tried to manipulate her into lying so that she could tell the truth and get out?
Well, because I've seen the whole series, I know the true answer to that question. But it's interesting. And that, well, we do learn that because she did that, because she lied under oath, she has more time added to her sentence now. Yeah. So she really screwed herself doubly because of Alex twice.
Well, that's the thing that I really appreciate about the father character, Larry's father. Saying that she's a stupid woman. I gave her advice, and she didn't heed it. Mm-hmm. And then she basically professed her love, to Alex on the stage. So you're stupid too for loving her. I thought the father was, very, apt, and he was very succinct in saying, like, you guys are both stupid and you need to stay away from each other.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. It's hard for me to say. I haven't seen the whole season yet either, but I didn't get the sense that Voss was deliberately trying to set her up to fail. You know what I mean? I think she just she tends to change with the wind. She can kind of sense, I think, sometimes where she needs to go and what she needs to do. And Piper, the love lost little puppy dog, is always left behind. So
well, also because she's like, well, I mean, if you look at her relationships with Alex and then with Larry, like, she really doesn't know what the hell she's doing. And then they show the flashback of her as a little kid where she really didn't have any drive or any motive to do anything unless somebody else was telling her or influencing her to do it. So she still really kind of is a blank slate. She's still figuring herself out, which is it's frustrating, but it's also interesting for that character. So we really don't know where she's going to go.
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, I mean, I think, but the whole thing with the Larry, I mean, that's kind of why I feel for Larry, is because their whole relationship was basically her using him to convince herself that she wasn't gay. So I mean, their entire relationship was kind of a lie.
Right. They're both at fault. Yeah. Did you guys know Jodie Foster directed this episode?
Really?
No.
Jodie Foster directed. Yep. Thank you, Wikipedia.
Wow. And I didn't have any. Oh, did I have a lesbian love scene in it? Oh.
There was a lot of.
Wow. Did I have a lesbian scene in it? I don't remember. Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Right.
All right. Well, let's move on. We have a lot to talk about tonight, so let's just kind of dive into episode 2. Looks blue, tastes red. So this is where we get a lot of background on Tasty. We find out why she's named Tasty, and V comes to the prison. What do you guys think of V so far?
She's an amazing character, just so manipulative, so. Like, I think I would fall under her spell. I mean, just the way she looks at people and sort of talks with that calm voice. She is what an amazing character, and I love the way her and Red are butting heads. It's fascinating.
Now, Casey, you've seen the whole season, so I know that's a harder question for you. But what were your initial impressions of V at the time?
Well, I thought it was interesting. In the second episode, you kind of like, okay, well, she's obviously, manipulating young people into seeing her as a mother figure. But then you kind of see that she kind of is a mother figure to these kids that really don't have a solid home life, and then you see she's kind of providing that. So it's a mix in that episode. It's kind of like, I can see why Tasty could fall under her spell, but then you kind of second guess yourself and think, well, is it a spell? I mean, maybe she really does want to be like a solid mother figure to these kids. But Lorraine Toussaint, I mean, I've loved her in everything. And when I saw her show up, I said, oh my God, okay, things just got good if she's going to become a regular on the show. So I got super excited.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's a fascinating character because you really don't know what she's going to do next. She's very unpredictable. So just as she's, kind of making her way through the inmates and playing the politics of jail, we're just as surprised by her moves as the inmates are.
And it's kind of refreshing to me, because one of my complaints about season 1 is I think the show is kind of cool as a dark comedy, but it's kind of like, where are the stakes sometimes? I mean, at the end of episode 1, Piper and Meth Head Girl are having a fight, and Piper, ostensibly is going crazy on this girl, right? But I mean, prior to that, we had a lot of just like filler, happy comedy bullshit, and it's kind of like, this is prison. Like, bad things happen in prison, even if it's a minimum security prison. So this character of V is so like fascinating to me as well, I think, because she's dangerous. We see that in the way she uses people and how, like, even the way she moves, She's like a prison ninja, like. You know?
Right. Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah, she kind of magnificently prowls. It's like, you know, she's
or slithers.
Yeah, exactly.
Indeed.
Exactly. It kind of
Indeed.
right.
So Red's having issues, right? We find out her commissary fund has run dry. Maybe the business isn't doing so great. Now that she's not in control of the kitchen, she's no one's friend anymore because she can't supply them with shit, right?
Now, I couldn't remember from last season, that woman that she sat down at a table with that had burns on her face, what caused that?
So she was trying to get back at the Hispanic women for taking over the kitchen. So she filled the oven full of oil, and suspecting that because her friends only worked stocking, you know, the trucks and stuff, pulling food off the trucks, that they wouldn't be the ones to open the oven. But as it turns out, her friend did open the oven and got burned.
That's right. So, I forgot. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah,
her friend halted and caught fire, if you will.
God. Oh no.
Yeah. So
we'll get to that.
I know. So poor Red. She's gonna have to do something, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Things have got to change for her.
In the last episode that I saw, the 4th episode, she's now sort of transitioning into maybe building back her empire with a gardening initiative.
Yes.
So I'm curious to see where that goes, and I know you guys know where it goes, but
we see seeds of that planted, if you will. Get it? Garden seeds.
I see what you're doing there.
But I like seeing. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brad.
No, please, you go ahead.
I was just going to mention that I like that she's developing relationships with these older women who are kind of, you know, interested in these brand new characters. I find the older women in prison interesting, especially the nun. I love her, but yeah, it's interesting. It's funny because, you know, she's just hanging around with like youngish people, and then she kind of finds herself relegated to the senior citizen table, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, this is where I am now with these people who knit and and are just doing homey things. I'm not, you know, down in the dirt like I used to be.
But yeah, that's an interesting
it's
part
interesting
of the population there, is that, you know, there's these women that are going to die there. I mean, they're there for life, and, you know, so they're aging and having to go through dementia, and, you know, they're not part of any group except for the geriatric group.
Right.
So it's pretty fascinating.
Right. Well, it just reminds me of when there was a maximum security prison situation where Susan Atkins, one of the Manson women, was dying of brain cancer, and she was trying to get out so she could die with her family, and it was terminal, and they wouldn't let her out, and it was just kind of like, it's a different situation because it's maximum security versus minimum security, but it also kind of, you know, it makes you wish, you know, there's a certain dignity to dying, and, you know, it's kind of denied that with criminals or inmates.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, let's see. Episode 3, Hugs Can Be Deceiving. We meet So-So, who I can't stand. What do you guys think?
Oh my God.
Want her dead.
No, So-So is amusing because she reminds, and it's funny, I think that Piper sees a lot of herself or what she used to be like in her.
Definitely.
But she doesn't want to, she wants her to learn the ropes sort of like she did and not tell her everything. And and I don't think she'd listen anyway, because she thinks that she has, you know, the world. She understands the world, and, you know, racial issues and, you know, injustices, and she just doesn't get it.
Yeah, it's she's almost like hippie flower child, and just sort of floats through everything, and, you know, thinks she found like a nice soft friend in Piper, and Piper snaps at her, and tries to use her, and it's just, but she keeps coming back because I think it's the lesser of all evils.
Right.
I totally loved, like, Dark Piper when Piper was like, "You listen here. You think I'm your friend. I am not."
Right.
Yeah. Thought it was awesome. Yeah.
So has some interesting stuff happen later on in the season. I mean, but she is irritating, Brad. I agree. Yeah. She's kind of she's kind of what gets under your fingernails. You know, the kind of. Yeah, she's super irritating.
And then you take a toothpick and scrape it out and flick it away. That's what I would do to So.
Oh my god.
Exactly. I'm surprised that she wasn't like immediately grabbed and mentally and physically destroyed by somebody on her first day. They're all their mates are really being very tolerant of her bullshit so far.
They really are. They really are. Well, speaking of tolerance for bullshit, we get a Suzanne backstory. Crazy Eyes gets fleshed out a little bit. What do you guys think of that?
I loved it. I mean,
I did too. I think she's such a interesting character that's, very tragic. It seems like a lot of things were dealt against her, having sort of a mental disability and then also being adopted by a white family that's trying to fit her into an area where she just doesn't fit in. Mm-hmm. She definitely had the deck stacked against her whole life, and so that's the interesting thing when V comes along, and when V comes along, she's very that's easy pickings, she can manipulate her easily.
Right. I just think the interesting thing that I saw in the backstory was that her parents always thought that her problem and why people didn't accept her was because she was black, instead of opening their eyes and realizing that she has a mental illness. And I think it was the AV Club or some really very clever critic was writing a review of the show, and it was like, well, the show continues to sort of open your eyes in regards to certain social injustices in this country, and it's like it's just once again how mental illness is kind of like swept aside or not properly addressed. And so, Crazy Eyes is kind of a victim of the system because her parents did not try to seek proper help for her. They just thought, well, everyone doesn't like her because she's black and we adopted her. And that had nothing to do with it. It was just she had issues that they never addressed. So,
and we find out Crazy Eyes, broke up the fight between Piper and Panzatucky.
Right. Which I thought was great.
Yeah, that was a great, interesting way to kind of make the whole situation end. Because they kept on hinting at what happened, but you're like, what happened during that gap, and they kind of explained it, which was great.
Yeah, I agree.
See, at first I thought Healy stepped in, and he's the one who did it, but then that didn't make sense to me. So
Healy couldn't be bothered to do that. Come on, there was no chocolate or Russian women involved. So,
right, exactly.
Why would he care?
Right, and he kind of wanted Piper gone anyway. So, yeah.
Very true. Very true. And yet again, we see V, manipulating Suzanne is kind of her. I don't know what you call her. Her guard dog, her muscle. I mean, obviously they're setting it up from the very beginning that V is going to bring this sect of women back to power. You know what I mean? She has a plan, and it's just so good to see her shaking up the status quo of Litchfield. So episode 4, last episode we're going to talk about tonight, a whole other hole. I learned more about vaginas than I probably wanted to in this episode.
Yeah.
I will say. But
it never hurts to know about vaginas. I'm gonna be honest. You never know when you're going to need that information.
You might need to store some change there or something.
Right. Or you might need to assist in a birth, and you might need to navigate around certain things.
That's probably you don't want to wait for the baby to crown through the wrong hole, I guess.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. You don't want to be gathered around the wrong hole, and then be surprised. Right.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
I will say though that in all, I would say 2 or 3 of the episodes, there has been a significant amount of either boobies or finger sex or something like that hasn't bothered me the way some of the other shows where they show boobies. I'm like, come on, show some dick or something like that. But because this is an all-female area, it's going to be rare that you're going to see some dick. But on top of it, the way they handle sex is very masculine in this show. It's very aggressive, and so I actually find it kind of sexy.
Right. I think what sets this show apart from, say, Game of Thrones, which we'll talk about, this show isn't about let's put nudity on display. It's here's some incidental nudity because this scene is happening in the shower room.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh look, here's Piper laid back in a bathtub with her tits poised just so the water, delicately like. In Game of Thrones, they staged those naked scenes very deliberately to really put it on display. And I like here, it's just like, oh, there's nudity. That's just because of the setting.
It's not necessarily pretty nudity all the time. Like that shower scene you mentioned, the boobies were kind of gross, but it wasn't meant to be sexual, like you said. It was just it happened to be a shower scene, and that's what you see.
Right. And we've seen a lot of cottage cheese ass and really saggy tits. And, you know what I mean? It's not just
casting's good on this show. There's a lot of those in New York, so there's a lot of places to find them.
Right.
But there was gay sex. Right, but there was gay sex in episode 2, where they went to the bath. Larry and his dad went to a gay bathhouse.
That was hilarious.
And they're surrounded by a three-way and two guys making.
That was so funny.
Yeah.
At first, I thought they were just at like some gym, and I'm like, that doesn't happen at a gym. And at the end, he's like, why'd you take me to a gay bathhouse? He's like, Groupon. I was like, oh, brilliant.
I had a Groupon.
Yeah, I like that.
That was awesome.
Right. That was really good. Yeah.
So let's see, couple other points from this one. Pusey and V seem to be a little bit at odds here, right? So V is trying to get her hooks apparently into a lot of different people, and Pusey wants nothing to do with that. It seems.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see where that goes throughout the rest of the season, I think.
Whose flashback story is in episode 4 again?
This was Lorna. Lorna.
Oh, right.
Which was creepy.
Yes.
And I thought that was so fascinating to see exactly, like what she was caught for, like, and finally to get the explanation of what's his name, the fiance.
Christopher.
That, she's always talking about Christopher.
Right.
I always thought there was something odd, because you never see him visit the jail or anything. But even since season 1, they've been laying the grounds for this, so it's great.
Right. Yeah. Right, because she had a relationship with Natasha Lyonne's character.
Yeah, she wanted to break it off because she was getting together with Christopher.
I'm getting married. I can't do this anymore, right? And I thought that the backstory and then seeing her take off was amazing. And then tying into that, the reason why she could take off is because we have is her name Greta, the older inmate who's dying of cancer.
Yeah.
And that's a really good storyline, which just comes out of nowhere because she really isn't that major in season 1.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
This show does ensemble cast so well.
It does.
I think other shows should take a lot of notes from this show.
Right.
But yeah, the Lorna stuff was super, super creepy. I'm sure that's going to come to a head at some point, right? Because I would think she has to be like, the truth has got to come out at some point. Again, I've only seen them to a certain point, so I don't know. But like, she brought the little teddy bear back with her. Like, aren't they going to wonder how she?
Got to be all over the place,
right.
Right. Break in, they're going to do an investigation.
Right. Exactly. I don't know, but yeah. So 4 episodes in, I know we need to move on for time, but what's your overall impression, real quick and dirty, of the season so far? Awesome, on par with season 1, better? What do you think?
I would say almost better, just because it's building off of an already good foundation.
Right. I think it's definitely better, but I say that having finished it. But even 4 episodes in, I was like, "This is way better," because we don't have to deal with all the Piper bullshit. I think that was the big thing. Like everyone, because that sort of lit up the internet that Laura Prepon was only going to be back for limited episodes, and I was like, "Great, okay," that did not bother me because there's so many other amazing characters. I don't really give a shit about Alex at this point.
Exactly.
And then we could learn more about Crazy Eyes and Lorna and Nikki and all these other, and more Reds. So
right.
Yeah, but I think it's better than season 1.
I think I agree with you guys. I really love the character development that the ancillary characters are finally getting. You know what I mean? And I'm glad to see Les Piper thus far, I get, I don't know, a little Piper goes a very long way for me.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
She's kind of good as a supporting character at this point. Then she's better as a supporting character in her own show than she is as the lead.
I know. All right. Are we ready to halt and catch fire, guys?
I think so.
Sure.
All right. Abrupt segue. Here we go. We're going to talk about AMC's Halt and Catch Fire. So, guys, we should totally get a Samsung Galaxy S5, and let's reverse engineer it. What do you think?
Well, I do have a lot of time on my hands, so yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It might be more interesting than this show, actually.
No, totally disagree. I love this show.
Oh Lord. Oh, God.
The one complaint I have this show is the stupid fucking title. I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, they explained in the first episode, it was a command that did this, and it's symbolic of what's going on in the show. But so many times I come into work the next day. I'm like, "Oh, did you see Catch and Release or Catch and Halt and remember?"
Catch and Release is a better title.
Yeah,
right.
I can never remember the title. It's so hard. They really should have come up with a better title. But other than that, I personally love the show. I think it's very engaging.
So we'll return to that in a second after our quick spoiler warning. If you are listening, watching live, or following our handy dandy show note time index, we will be spoiling Halt and Catch Fire quite a bit. So this is your chance to go make a sandwich, come back, do whatever. Rejoin us for our Game of Thrones discussion in about 15 minutes. But yeah, spoilers are totally fair game. Stephen Konchelik, you said you really liked this show. Why? Why is that? From
the intro, the Tron-themed intro, which I thought, I think is, or Tron-inspired, I love the way it sets it up. I love the look. I think I like the element of mystery. It's somebody likened it a little bit to Mad Men. It's sort of Mad Men-esque, this sort of really, mystery salesman sort of comes in, and you don't know about his past, and they're sort of teasing it, and it's very mysterious, but he comes and shakes things up, and he's got this vision, and he's going to do this stuff. But I love the power plays that they do. I love the this is sort of the birth of the technology age, and there were probably tons of companies with people just like this that wanted to change the world and saw the opportunity and wanted to take advantage of it. And I just think it's got these really cool characters, and it leaves on these little cliffhangers, and I think the show's structured well, and I like the writing. I think there's just everything about it. I'm really hooked.
Awesome. Casey, you did not like this show that much?
No, I didn't even finish the second episode.
What?
I was like, I was just like, I don't care, and
wow.
I was like, you know what? There are episodes of Louie that I need to catch up on, so I'd rather watch that.
Wow.
But I was really excited about this show because the advertising was really great. I love Lee Pace. I've loved him since Soldier's Girl and Pushing Daisies, and it just no. It reminded me I think AMC is trying really hard to find shows to replace Breaking Bad and then Mad Men, and Mad Men opens with. The very first episode opens with, a description of what the title means. Like Mad Men means this. So Halt and Catch Fire is the same thing. So I'm like, okay, so we're off to that bat. And it reminds me of Mad Men meets Wolf of Wall Street meets Silicon Valley. So it reminded me of a lot of other things that I just happen to like a lot better, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I still like Lee Pace a lot. I think he's really good in it. I like the girl Cameron. I think she's mildly interesting. I really don't like, the troubled married man who's like a total dud. Yeah, basically. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't like him. I don't like his wife, and I hate his kids. And so it's, you know.
Daddy, our speak and say won't work. Our speak and spell.
Right, right. I was just like, it's like the most dull, sad home life ever. And it was just like, can we get out of here and get back to like The Office? Let's get back to Lee Pace. He's way more exciting. But I don't know. You know, maybe the first episode didn't really get me hooked, but I think. Maybe if I go back and try to watch season 2, maybe tomorrow, finish episode 2, and then episode 3 I think was up on demand when I checked.
Yeah.
So you know.
There's a very interesting scene in episode 3.
Really?
Interesting.
See, I need to do what Brad does and give it at least 5. You said you give it 10 episodes, right?
I start with 5. And if I'm mildly interested at episode 5, I will continue to episode 10. But if I don't, yeah. I don't know. For me, I guess I'm in the middle of the road here. I love the technology aspect, but part of me is like, is this based on real life at all?
Is it? No, I don't think so. I don't remember.
No, I don't think so.
Because part of me being a technology head and knowing a lot of the history is I'm like, what? No. Yeah. But then I have to be like, well, wait, this is a fictional world probably, and they're doing their own thing. But then it's like, well, you know that some company from nowhere isn't really going to rise up and challenge IBM for anything. So for me, I'm kind of like, well, what are the stakes then, really? I mean, what are we really going to accomplish here? Doesn't seem ostensibly like much, but I could be wrong. You know what I mean? Maybe this is a parallel world where they destroy IBM and take over.
Well, it could be an allegory for one of these companies that developed something that then Microsoft or Apple bought, or some major other company bought. It could be a similar path. There's a lot of companies, there are startups that did really well, and then the technology got bought out by someone.
Right.
So it's I was thinking about that too, because they reference real companies. They reference IBM as a major player in this. They reference Apple and Microsoft. So they're playing in the real world, but the company, something electric,
Cardiff Electronics.
Cardiff Electric, yeah, isn't, I don't believe is a real company. Yeah.
I don't think it is either. And so part of me is like, okay, well, even if they develop a cool computer and then get bought out or whatever, like, how many seasons is that going to take? What kind of payoff are we looking at there? So I think it's a good show. I like it. I will definitely keep watching it. It's entertaining. But in the back of my head, I'm kind of like, okay, where can this really go? You know what I mean?
But in sort of the same parallel as Mad Men, and I think you're right, Casey, that they're definitely trying to replace Mad Men. I think with this, or take some of that audience. It's a period piece. It's got a lot of sales aspects and the business aspects. There's definitely a lot of similarities, but in that same vein, Mad Men is a ad agency that wasn't a real ad agency, but they were taking on real companies that obviously they didn't actually do those ads, so it's, I think they can play a lot with parallel or referencing real events, but sort of skirting around the realism of it.
And I agree. I kind of like that about Mad Men. So I'm trying to sort of set that aside and really give this show a chance. I actually like the Sonny Bono-esque character. I know his family's kind of a drag. I know. But part of me is like, I don't know. I'm a little interested to see where things go with him.
I feel like it's going to be a slow burn. It's going to pay off later.
Yeah, and then I know a lot of guys like him who are easily influenced by leadership. And whether they're led to ruin or riches, it's kind of interesting to see that journey, I guess. And I'm really interested to see what happens between him and Cameron.
They're gonna have sex at some point, it.
Yeah,
you think so?
I'm just like, get it out of the way and don't go back to it. I'm just like, I don't want it to be a thing on the show. I feel like, okay, they fucked before the first commercial break. They don't need to go back with that. And she even said that, like, you didn't have my feelings. This is what it is. Whatever.
I think her, like the Sonny Bono character, like he wants her, like he definitely you can tell he keeps on playing off like, oh, she's so annoying, but he lingers too long at her, looking at her ass,
Exactly. And I think she's like the best character, honestly.
Yeah.
And I'm usually not usually not a girl power guy. Like typically it's just not my thing, but I think she's really interesting, and I'm curious to see what she can do. Obviously, at the end of episode 2, we've seen some strokes of her brilliance, perhaps. Curious to see kind of where things go. Steven, you saw the 3rd episode, so
I did.
Yeah, I'm anxious to watch it as well.
There's some really good scenes in there that I think would be interesting for both of you.
We'll have to circle back. Maybe not on the show if Casey's not going to continue watching. And Casey, that's really okay.
It is.
But maybe we'll circle back offline or something. But yeah, I'm interested to see where the show goes. But honestly, guys, like I was like sharing a link to the Hangout on Facebook, and I'm like trying to write out all the shit, and I'm like, really, how many long ass fucking titles do we need for TV shows now? Like, Orange is the new Halt and Catch. Like, seriously, come on.
Right. It's like
what happened to like
right.
Yeah. What happened to shows with easy names like Cheers or
Lost.
Frasier or Lost or
Rhoda.
Right.
Or Roseanne.
Exactly.
Seriously.
Everything has got to be epic now,
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's like when the internet started running out of websites, all of a sudden you're having to do like, Garfield the movie part, like as the whole title URL, because like all these, all the URLs.
Exactly.
It reminds me of that old Saturday Night Live sketch where it was the law firm that was trying to get a website, but at that point all the websites were taken, and so all they could get was clownpenis.fart.
Yeah, no, I remember that. Yeah.
So there's only a few show names left, and they're having to combine a bunch of stuff. Oh, kitty!
Our new kitty. This is Poe, everybody.
I was gonna say I heard a cat.
Meow. You've got pussy on your lap.
Pussy on my lap. That's right. All right. So, Halt and Catch Fire. Do you guys think that at the end of this series, IBM is totally going to catch on, and before they can get them arrested, they're going to have to issue the Halt and Catch Fire command to their prototype?
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I can honestly say at this point I don't have enough interest to answer that question.
We're putting Casey to sleep.
I wish I had your enthusiasm. I'm gonna have to go back
on to Game of Thrones. I'm gonna.
That was the problem. I watched both episodes, or the 1.5 episodes after the Game of Thrones finale, which was a terrible.
Oh, that's a bad mistake. I have to say that would have lost interest for me.
Yeah.
That's the peak, and then coming off the peak.
But then I jumped to Louis, and Louis is also very, not a lot happens on that show, but I love that show. But I'm gonna have to try to see if I can give it another try tomorrow. I'll give it another try.
Yeah, like get Tyrion awesomeness like out of your head, and then try it again, maybe. Right. All right. Sounds like a perfect segue to me. Are you guys ready to talk about some motherfucking Game of Thrones?
Yes. Absolutely.
All right, here we go. Our discussion of the Game of Thrones finale. All right.
That's what I was hearing in my head.
So, holy crap! It's been a month.
Holy crap!
Yeah. It's been a month since we've done this, so
a lot has happened.
A lot's happened, yeah. But I would say, I don't know. Do you guys just want to talk about the finale and then
just the finale? There was enough of the finale to talk about.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying. So. Right. Where do you get? Well, first of all, spoiler warning for those of you who have not seen the Game of Thrones finale. This is your chance to bail now. Listen at your own risk. Blah 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 blah. Okay, let's go ahead and get into it. Here we go. Spoilers are fair game for Game of Thrones. Let's go. So, where do you guys want to Where do you want to start with this? Where do you want to dig in?
Like, should we just start at the beginning? I mean, the beginning was it Daenerys?
Daenerys and her dragons.
Yeah, Daenerys and the dragons.
The beginning was Jon Snow going to camp.
Jon Snow.
Jon Snow.
She's dead.
Jon Snow, yeah.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
I know that made me get misty. That upset me.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Even though, just because I knew it was coming, it doesn't mean. Yeah, it still made an effect on me.
I was happy. I was really happy that she died. Yeah, I found her to be really annoying, and that whole like Jon Snow Ygritte like relationship thing just. Ugh.
Oh no! Oh, I liked it because I like her. I like that actress a lot.
Yeah.
I love her from Downton Abbey. So.
I'm not saying she's a bad actress. I like her. I even like Ygritte as a character, but I just got really tired of the Jon Snow like snowmance, if you will. You know,
even though it was the only good romance on the entire show.
The one non-sibling.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, Tyrion and Shay kind of ended, and at least this one you kind of had a feeling was going to actually pick back up. Yeah. But there are no good romances on the show. It's all a nightmare.
But I'm okay with that. This show is soap opera-y enough without romances. Yeah. You know, this is totally like a soap opera with dragons and swords. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. But it starts with Jon Snow going to negotiate, and then what's his name? The King.
Mance Rayder and Stannis Baratheon.
Yeah, Stannis comes in and saves the day last minute, and now sort of takes over Castle Black.
Right.
Which
that goes.
I have a question about that. So he really gets around because they were just at the bank of like Bravos not too long ago, right? Mm-hmm. That's way far south according to the map, and now all of a sudden they're north of the Wall. Like, how did they get there so quick?
With a bunch of horses.
Yeah, I guess.
Why is Daenerys still? She doesn't even make that much progress in how many seasons? So in the course of 2 episodes, they make that kind of progress. So I think that's when it's kind of like, okay, the show will pay attention to the map at sometimes, and then other times it's just kind of like, for convenience, let's pretend that there's like a time portal.
Maybe that magical, the Lord of the Light, transported them or something.
Right. The Lord of Light fills our sails with plot convenience. The Lady Melisandre.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway, so Stannis Baratheon's taking over the Wall.
What now? Castle Black. That was. Whose rule was that under, though?
Well, Lord Mormont was the one that was in charge of Castle Black, but that technically it fell under Ned Stark's rule, I believe.
Okay.
Winterfell.
So, but is that then under the Tyrion rule?
Roose Bolton at this point is the Lord of Winterfell and Warden of the North. Yeah.
Right. Bastard.
So I was just wondering if Stannis is he, sort of taking over? Is he conquering it, or is it just sort of there?
See, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I have no idea, and I guess we won't know until next season. But,
right. Yeah. And honestly, I mean, that whole thing felt like so unimportant. So I don't,
Yeah.
I don't know why it wasn't just waited until. I don't know why it wasn't just held until the next season. Yeah. But we need a resolution with Jon Snow, I guess. So.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. So moving on, Daenerys. Her dragons fucking fried a little kid, and clearly they've really become a problem. But
honestly, maybe the little kid was yelling. I mean, there needed to be an investigation on that. Cause
there are plenty of 3-year-olds that deserve
exactly.
to be
I mean, she blocks up the dragons, which was the saddest scene in the world.
Yeah,
like they're crying for her, and she's crying. She's blocking up her babies, and it's like no one even asked. Well, what was your kid doing?
Right. The dragons were totally like hanging out, like laying on their backs, playing with a ball over their heads, and the little girl probably came up with a big like forked stick and was poking at them.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Fuck
or maybe
that
it
little
sneezed.
girl.
It could have been an accident, you know.
Right. We'll never know.
But they said it was the black one, which they
Drogon.
yeah, which they haven't found.
Right.
She locked up the other two, but the one is missing, which makes me leads me to believe that maybe there's going to be a wayward dragon causing havoc.
Ooh, I totally have a theory about that, but it's kind of.
Is that the one? Is that the? Oh.
That's the really big black.
Well, I
one.
wondered if that one was. Is that the one that took out the flock of sheep?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I have
okay.
I have a theory
because that would make sense.
I have a theory about that dragon, but we're kind of jumping ahead if I talk about it. So, I'll come back to it, I guess.
Okay.
I really want to talk about it.
Okay. I really want to talk about it.
Because I haven't read any of the books, so yeah.
But I agree, it was very sad when she had to lock her dragons away. But honestly, like, seriously, guys, it's unfortunate. Daenerys had so little to do this season. I'm really disappointed.
Yeah, I was disappointed in that storyline, too.
She was my favorite character, and I loved watching her march ever closer to Westeros, and she's just been nowhere. You know, this whole season.
And she's made one bad decision after another. It's like, well, actually, honestly, this season was a reminder that she's young and inexperienced, and so she clearly does not deserve to to rule, everything. So clearly, I'm not rooting for her to reign victorious at the end of this saga.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't care how cool her fucking dragons are.
Yeah,
All right. Moving on. What happened next?
Was it the Brienne and Hound fight?
No, it was what's her face? Cersei telling her father that she's
oh my god,
on the regular. Yeah. And then going in and proceeding to fuck him on like Arthur's Round Table or something.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, she tells her father, then fucks her brother. Then Jaime lets out Tyrion out of jail, and says like, "There's a ship waiting for you. Get out of here." And then he kind of what?
Are we getting a little ahead?
That's the end of the episode.
You're jumping to the end, Stephen.
Yeah. It jumps around.
I'm losing all my tracks.
No. I only remember because I just watched it. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree though. That was pretty awesome. Like, Cersei's all like, how could you not know, you who pride yourself in family so much? And then she's like, oh, well, of course you wouldn't know. You wouldn't look close enough. Exactly. It was interesting. I was kind of hoping Tywin would have more of a reaction than he did, though.
Yeah.
But, I wanted him to hit her.
Bastard. Right. Oh, I was waiting for that too. But then I also got the impression that she wanted to stay because she has a thing. Well, who wouldn't? For for what's his face?
Jaime?
No. For what's his face? For
the mountain.
The mountain.
Lord Gregor.
Yeah. Oh
yeah,
God. She's going above and beyond to try and heal him.
They insisted that he be taken care of. Right. Exactly. So it's kind of like,
every time,
this is why you want to stay here, not just your son. Yeah.
Every time she saw him, I swear you could just tell from looking at her face that she was getting moist between the.
She's got a lady boner. Yeah.
Her red flower was getting dewy.
So now, what do you think it meant when the guy said he's going to be different? Is he going to be like psycho evil? Not that he wasn't really in beforehand, but all she asked was, "Is he still going to be strong?" And he said, "Oh yeah." She's like, "Okay, yeah, whatever."
I don't know.
But I'm just curious what he meant by he's not going to be the same.
Right. Yeah, I wonder. I guess we'll see next season.
Maybe he's going to go back. Maybe he's going to go back to like Westeros Academy and become the smartest dude on the face of the planet.
Yeah, that'd be funny if he was just as strong, but he's like a nerdy guy. He's like, ooh, and like,
so it'll be like Charlie, like it'll be like where he becomes the world's smartest person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed. And so Cersei and Jaime have sex again This time Cersei is the aggressor. Do you think this this removes the stain of rape?
Oh, definitely.
Really?
I think so. I mean, it still was a little. That scene was a rape scene before, but you feel like there was a more of an inkling of consent. You know, when she keeps going back to him like very longingly. You know, not like, oh my God, I can't stand you after what you did to me.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But I think it was also an equalizing of power for them too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
You know, because now they both because basically Jamie has some power left and
we're with you, Casey. Jamie has some power. Are you still there?
Stay with us.
The joys of doing it live. Yeah, we're here.
I'm still here. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, you were cutting in
I'm
and
here.
out.
I know. No. Oh, yeah. No, I'm still here.
Okay. Well, we're glad. We're glad.
Yeah.
So you think it was equalizing in terms of the power distribution?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Gotcha. All right. Okay. So what happened next? Was that Brienne?
Now was that the Brienne and the Hound fight?
I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. So that was interesting. Brienne sees Arya doing her little dance, and they start talking, and then the Hound comes up and decides to challenge Brienne for possession of Arya, basically.
And you know what's really sad? Brienne of fucking Tarth never gave Arya the direwolf cake from her baker friend.
That's right.
That's true. Yeah, I just remembered that.
I completely forgot about that.
Brienne's like, by the way, Hot Pie's direwolf cake was very good.
I wasn't sure who I wanted to win in that fight. I love both characters so much. Uh-oh. Is there some lag?
Yeah, I think Google Plus is lagging out on us a little bit.
But yeah, I wasn't sure who I want to, win, and Brienne is such a fascinating character, and there's not a lot of these strong female leads that are, physical like that. So I kind of want her, but at the same time, I've grown to like the Hound. Even though he's kind of scary and creepy, there's something about him that I think he's not as bad as he portrays himself to be.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I agree. Finally, he admits to wanting to care for Arya, and that was the first time he's really done that.
Right.
And it was the same way here. Like, we had a house full of bears last night watching it, and you could just tell, like, people really love Brienne and they really love the Hound, and we were all like, Jesus, we don't know who to root for. Like, this is agony.
I was hoping they'd all come together and it'd be like the Super Friends or something, but it didn't work out that way. She killed the Hound, although the Hound was still alive, and Arya decided
that would be the ideal thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it can't really work out that way. There can be only one.
Cats and dogs can't be friends.
Right.
But yeah, then Arya decided not to kill the Hound, which I thought was I couldn't tell if it was mean or merciful. I guess merciful would have been killing him, though.
Yeah, I think she was being a little psychopathic bitch.
Yeah, she's turned into a sort of a twisted character.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't know. I think it's interesting that she didn't kill him. He tried to get under her skin by bringing up the butcher's boy, and I don't know. Do you wish that she had killed him?
I just think, she mentioned, him putting his name on the list. And, so I thought it would have been, sort of part of her mission. And I would have liked to, have her do it. And also, as much as she might have hated him for certain things, he did sort of care for her. Like he took care of her this whole time. So it would have been a merciful thing to do. And he was so kind of pitiful and begging for it. I kind of wanted to see her just do it, but she didn't.
All right, Arya fucking Stark.
Yeah.
Okay, what happened next? Where are we after that?
Let's see. Is now when we get to see the is it Tyrion rampage?
No, Bran. Oh. Let's not forget Bran.
Right,
Bran. And Hodor.
That was crazy. The skeletons popping out of the ground.
Yes, definitely.
Number one, great special effects.
Mm-hmm.
I was really impressed with that. Those fights. I mean, it didn't look like cheesy special effects at all. It looked definitely movie quality. That was just sort of, that whole scene was weird. Like going into the tree and the little kid throwing fireballs, but he has an adult voice, and I don't know. I don't even know what was going on.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get more information, next season. But apparently Gandalf lives in the middle of that tree.
Yeah, exactly.
So here's my theory, right? Bran is like, "Are you going to help me walk again?" And Gandalf is like, "No, you will never walk again, Bran, but you will fly." I think Drogon is going to be Bran's new warg buddy. I think he's going to ride that dragon and control him.
That is a good theory, and I love it, and I want it to happen now. And if it doesn't happen,
wouldn't that be
really
awesome?
Good? That would be great. I would love that.
I didn't even think about. I was thinking ravens or something, but dragons are much better.
Right.
Definitely, I could totally see him like warg out and control the dragon and just ride that thing. Like that would be freaking awesome.
That would be awesome.
Be cool. Yeah. So.
But that and then his little friend got stabbed by a wayward zombie, and it was sort of like a prison shanking stabbing. It just sort of reached up and was like.
It was. It was like Oz. Right. It was like Oz beyond the wall.
Yeah. But yeah, it was such a weird, interesting scene, and Hodor.
Yeah.
So it, they. Oh God, I totally lost my train of thought.
That's all right. It's kind of crazy. So, for those of you who are listening to the recording of the show rather than watching us live, this is impossible to edit, and it's actually kind of funny. Google Plus is doing this weird lag thing on us right now, where like. Stuff Steven says, like, I hear on a delay, and I respond. And then Casey, like, hears my response on a delay, and then he responds. So Steven is then, like, giving new commentary, but we're still reacting, like, 5 minutes later to what he said 3 minutes ago.
It's really odd and kind of, like, it's very jarring.
Oh, thank you, Google Plus.
And I know, and I'm sure this will interrupt someone, but I hate it, so...
I'm sure you do, because I think you're last in line, Casey. So a lot of times I'm like in the middle of something, and you're all of a sudden you're like laughing at something that we said 2 minutes ago.
Yeah. So you're not going to hear much from me, I don't think, for probably the rest of the episode.
Oh. All right. All right. Let's do this. No, Casey, let's do this. Why don't you kick off the discussion and tell us your thoughts on the Tyrion scene?
Okay. Well, first want to say about the brand thing. It reminded me a lot of the movie Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, where the skeletons come to life and fight Sinbad at the end of the movie. So it gave me this old-fashioned fantasy kind of flashback. But the Tyrion thing was just shocking to me because of the different twists and turns it took. Because you know that he was betrayed by Shay, but then you don't expect it to be like a double betrayal, that he's become his father's whore. And so, but then you didn't expect it to take that turn too. I just expected them to hash it out, not end up with a corpse in a bed. And the Tywin resolution, I knew it was coming, but it didn't make it any less shocking. It was a long time coming, but it was still. And I think I was just surprised as Tywin was. He's like, "What? You just shot me? What did you just do?" So, but yeah, I watched it with my mom. And we were both kind of like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that just happened." So.
Well, he did warn him not to say whore again.
Yeah,
so,
right. That's true. Right.
He could have pulled it out, maybe. It was interesting how Tywin all of a sudden is like, "I would never have killed you, Tyrion. You're my son. You're a Lannister." It's like bullshit.
Bullshit. I think he was saying that because he had a crossbow pointed at him. And also, this is going to piss Cersei off even more. I mean, now he's killed her mother and her father.
Mm-hmm. That's true. I didn't think about that.
But does this free Cersei from having to marry the Sword Swallower and move to Highgarden?
I think so.
So maybe she'll be happy with Tyrion.
Yes, I mean, she still thinks he killed her son, so I think there's never going to be any forgiveness unless... I think even if somehow Tyrion proved without a shadow of doubt that he didn't kill her son, she just has a bone to pick with him. I don't think she'll ever forgive him.
Right.
Well, it'll be interesting to see where things go for the Lannisters from here, because their patriarch is dead. Jaime Lannister at this point can't hold lands or titles or whatnot. Tywin reminded us of that once again. So this pretty much makes Cersei and Tommen the head of their family, right? So.
Right. Yeah. And Sir Pounce as well.
And Sir Pounce. Yes.
Oh, are we not on delay anymore?
I think we're caught up.
Oh, okay, good. Yay, we're on the same page, you guys.
Yay.
Virtual high five.
Where I work, and I'll keep that undisclosed, but where I work, we call that a Y5.
Oh,
like Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi, y'all. That's good. I like that.
Because it's virtual, like over what? Anyway.
That's super cute. Yeah. No, I like it. It's cute.
But yeah, no, I think we're on the same page, which is good, because brings us to our final scene from the episode. Arya finally gets away her Valor Margulis coin, boards a ship for Braavos to become, I assume, one of the faceless ones, one of the assassins. So, do you think next season is gonna pick up a couple years like down the road? Do you think it'll pick up relatively? I mean, Tyrion's gotten the fuck out of Dodge. Arya has gotten out of Dodge. Like, none of the characters I really care about anymore are in Westeros. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll all come together and make like the Super Friends or something. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I want there to be a Stark reunion. I was like, can we just have these sisters see each other? It's it's driving me crazy. That's the ultimate end goal for me.
I know, and they keep on like coming so close to each other.
That's true. That's true. Hey, I want to talk real briefly before we wrap. That scene a couple episodes ago when Sansa Stark has to like talk to the tribunal, and you think that she's totally going to rat out Littlefinger. And oh man, I rewatched that episode yesterday, and it's so like totally riveting. The performance that she gives, like when she's like, "My aunt, she called me a whore and threatened to throw me through the moon door." Like, oh, it was so good.
Yeah, it was.
She finally turned into a character I liked instead of like just like, shut up, you whiny little whore.
Well, I think she's finally learning the way of the world. It's like, well, I know he wants me, so he'll do what I want. Well, to a certain point, I think she might try to go a little too far with that whole Vixen thing.
I think there's going to be some rapey scenes in the future. I just predict.
Yeah, but I think Littlefinger is hot, so it doesn't.
Oh yeah.
It wouldn't bother me if
Casey's like, I'll watch Littlefinger rape anybody. Oh boy! All right. Well, I think that pretty much takes us to the end of the season. I have to say, some big stuff kind of happened, but I think as season enders go, it was a bit of a letdown for me.
What?
Like, all the guys that we had over last night just felt like there wasn't really like a big like, oh my God, what's going to happen now moment like at the end of the episode.
I totally disagree. I feel like the way it, killing the patriarch of the family and, the way the wildlings, sort of ended and, like where the things are going. I just think the world, it sort of put the world into a state of, upset, and it's going to be interesting where it all comes together at the beginning of next season.
Yeah, I agree. I just think compared to like the I don't know. Again, big things happen, but it just felt a little bit. I don't know. I like Arya, but I don't think like ending the episode with her like sailing out on a ship was. I don't know. That's my thing. Maybe. Mileage varies. I just felt it kind of ended on a weaker note, like the latter part of the episode. But I'm not saying it was a bad episode. I'm just saying it's not as strong as maybe some of us were expecting. But yeah. So anyway, next season, looking forward to it definitely. Any final thoughts before we move on?
Absolutely.
I
don't think so.
All right. It was a really good season.
Here we go.
It wasn't great. It wasn't a great season, but it was a good season.
Awesome. And from 2 minutes ago, Casey Scott answers the question. Thanks, Google Plus. We really love you tonight, Google Plus. But Casey Scott, we love you more for being a trooper and hanging in there.
Yeah, thanks for putting up with this.
Thank you.
All right. Stephen Konchelik, what have you got for plugs this week?
I actually I'm having a tough time because like all the shows that I would like to plug or watch, I'm watching, and we've been talking about like *Halt and Catch Fire* and everything. The one that I think is on right now and getting to a close is Nurse Jackie. If you aren't watching Nurse Jackie, it is still a fantastic show. It is still worth watching. And if you just missed the season finale of Veep, we've talked about that on this show a little bit and promoted it, but it's Veep was a fantastic season. And that just ended. You can watch them all on HBO Go, which I didn't realize this. If you have a Amazon Prime account, you can watch. They did a deal with HBO, and you can watch a lot of HBO content for free on Amazon Prime Instant Video.
That's awesome, but not Game of Thrones though.
No current seasons, none of the high-profile stuff, but you can watch a lot of first seasons of stuff of some of the current shows and a lot of their old catalog, like Sopranos and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
But definitely. I think that's still a good deal.
Sweet. All right. Thanks, Steven. What do you got, Casey?
Well, let's see. You'll probably hear this 2 minutes from now. But I mentioned Louis a couple. It's actually the season finale, and I think FX has it on demand for at least a little while. They're not great about having stuff on demand, but Louis has been good every single season. I don't say that just because I want to have Louis C.K.'s children, but he's really funny. He has a really unique sense of humor and a sense of filmmaking style. And he's just I just love his show to death. And this season's been a lot of fun, so I definitely recommend watching seasons 4 of the show, and then you can watch all 3 first seasons are on Netflix. So definitely watch some Louis C.K. His stuff is great.
Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, I've definitely been meaning to check that show out. I saw Louis C.K. in Blue Jasmine, actually, and wanted to have his babies in that movie. So I totally need to check that series out, definitely. Let's see. For me this week, my plug is actually not TV related, but I do TV related plugs on the Movie Bears podcast. So it's okay to do a movie plug on the Movie Bears TV podcast, right? Yes, I think so.
I guess so.
All right. My plug this week is How to Train Your Dragon 2. Jim and I went to see that over the weekend. In fact, we'll be talking about it on this week's Movie Bears podcast. Holy crap, that was an awesome movie. I think I actually liked it better than the first one.
And the director's super hot.
Dean DuBois, he is super hot, but on top of that, he's a super, super sweet guy. We've had the pleasure of meeting him a couple times at Bear Pride in Chicago, and super, super awesome guy. But yeah, the movie is phenomenal. It joins one of those, the rare ranks of sequels that are better than the original. And that's not to say the original is bad, because it's one of my all-time favorite movies.
It's a great movie.
Yeah. But I think the sequel is that good. So if you have not seen it yet, you definitely should, because it's amazing. Anyway.
Good. No, glad to hear it.
Definitely. All right, guys. Well, that brings us to the end of our episode this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, those of you who've been hanging out live, you've been kind of quiet this time around. Not sure what's up with that, but give us your comments, questions. It's okay. But yeah, so it was good to be back after a bit of a hiatus. Hopefully, will not be that long between our next episode. But stay tuned, and we'll be back here in a couple weeks probably. But all of you have a good week, and we'll see you in a while. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.